She even has, she even has a frog bag.
That's
My earrings. The earrings. I like them. Earrings. Awesome.
Oh, look.
Accessories, accoutrements.
Trying to be like you.
You can never have too many.
Entourage. Entourage of frogs.
Forgot it. Mission one.
Good morning. We will commence the meeting for January 13th, 2026. At this time, we will call this meeting officially to order. We will have a moment of silent reflection for our first responders and our members of the armed forces. Then we will have our invocation by Jeremy Redmond of First Methodist Church of Vero Beach, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Joe Ehrman. Please rise.
Well, Lord, we'd like to take this opportunity to, Lord, pray for our first responders. We know that today it's likely that they're going to be encountering people on what is the worst day of their lives. So, Lord, we want to pray that you give them just a very special measure of compassion, that you'd give them, Lord, a wisdom beyond their own, that you'd strengthen them, encourage them, Lord, as they deal with things that most of us can't even imagine. We thank you for them. And Lord, because your word says that upright citizens are good for a city and make it prosper, we'd like to pray that you would make us upright, Lord, by your grace. Forgive us for where we've fallen short. By your grace, draw us to yourself. By your grace, make us new, that we truly might be upright. We'd like to pray, Lord, a special prayer over our county commissioners this morning. We thank you for them and for their willingness to serve. We pray you'd bless them, Lord, that you would lead and guide them, and that you, Lord, would be over all the proceedings of our community, for we know, Lord, that you are good and that you make us good. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Please join me in saluting the greatest nation in the world, the United States of America.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor, very much. Okay, the next order of business. Do we have any additions or deletions to the agenda?
Mr. Chairman, under County Administrator, we would like to add an update for the Fellsmere Water Control District discussion regarding the bill that was filed regarding the district in the county. And Kathy Copeland will be making a presentation.
Okay, where would you like to add that?
Under County Administrator's Matters.
Okay. So noted.
Move to,
Move approve.
second.
Motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the next item of business is the presentation of proclamation recognizing January 18th through the 24th as National Certified Nurse Anesthetist Week. Hopefully I said that right. Do we have Chelsea? Okay. We will, I don't think so. We'll postpone that, and we will move forward. Members, we have an opportunity now to approve the minutes from the last meeting, which there are no minutes to approve, so we will move into informational items from staff or commissioners not requiring board action. This is the 2026 committee assignment by commissioners. If you have any questions or concerns, each of the administrative assistants were asked if there were any concerns, and hearing none, it essentially remains the same. The 2026 vacancies, committee vacancies and appointments. As many of you know, that has been advertised, and we are continuously looking for those positions to be filled, so anybody that perhaps is in the audience or watches online and views online, we would love to have them submit their application. Next is the Indian River County venue events for January, end of January and February 26th. There is a lot of things happening, and we would encourage you to check that out, not only on our agenda, but on our website. But to my left, I see something unusual this morning, and perhaps she would like to share an event that's coming up really soon. Commissioner Adams.
Don't
Yes.
jump to conclusions.
I like that. Don't jump to conclusions. As you guys know, it's my favorite time of year. It's Frog Leg Festival time in Indian River County. So the Frog Leg Festival gets hopping this Thursday through Sunday, and all the proceeds go back into the community to support youth recreation. And we've been able to donate $2 million back to the community over the 35 years, one frog leg at a time. So come on out. It's a frog-tastic time.
Wow,
$2 million.
$2 million, yeah,
over 30,
over 35 years.
35 years. So, well, thank you for what you do in our northwest portion of the county, and it certainly doesn't go unnoticed. So thank you for that.
And also, thank you guys for putting up with the one day of the year where I wear probably inappropriate commission outfit.
You're welcome. It has been a struggle, for sure. Next on the agenda is the public comment section. Any agenda-related matters except for our public hearing matters. So if you have any agenda-related matters, there's agendas in the foyer. If you haven't, absent that, we will proceed. Okay, commissioners, moving forward to the consent agenda. Any item concerns? Anything you desire to have pulled?
Mr. Chair, move approval.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Fletcher and a second by Commissioner Adams. Any further discussions on the consent agenda? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
And the motion carries. Next, number 10, moving right along, is constitutional officers and governmental agencies. The tax collector's break room work renovations. Mr. Administrator.
Yes, sir, I believe Anthony is on his way over, but I'll just go ahead and get you. So, Mr. Chair, members of the board, staff is requesting board approval for funding facility improvements to the tax collector's office, something they've been expressing a concern and need for, I think, the last couple of years, to address operational and infrastructural needs in terms of functional space, compliant workspaces, as well as a request to renovate the existing break room area. The break room area is outdated. It's no longer adequately supports the number of staff, and as well, the layout's not the most efficient in supporting building systems. At this point in time, there's a conceptual cost of $95,000 for some windows to be installed, a renovation remodel of the break room lounge. It's about 552 square feet, includes minor work in the existing lounge. And so what will happen is it's currently in design, the final design, and after the final design, it will go out to bid for the final off the final amount, and a contractor will be hired, and our capital project staff will be managing the project, and we will coordinate with the tax collector's office going through this process to lessen the disruption to their operations. So with that, the funds are in the amount of $95,000 are made available via budget amendment to the general fund facilities management, maintenance, buildings, tax collector break room renovations account. And staff recommends that the tax collector's break room renovation be included in the upcoming budget amendment. I'll return to the board, and I do have Anthony in the back if you have any specific questions.
Commissioners, I don't know about you, but one thing that kind of jumped out to me was the price. And, you know, the $95,000, I think, in labor is something we should discuss. We trust that Anthony and his team, in fact, will evaluate that and hopefully get those prices down. Second thing, Commissioners, I think we should all keep in mind and be mindful, although that's our building housed by a constitutional, I think going forward we need to understand that just, in fact, that is our building. And finally, this is a mid-year budget amendment. These items clearly could have been budgeted for. So I think we need to be very careful in making mid-year budget amendments for things that perhaps may not be an emergency or have an urgency.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I agree completely with you. I just, I absolutely want them to have a nice break room, something that they can unwind a little bit in during their workday. It just seems like $95,000 without knowing what we're doing. This seems like a lot of money for a break room. So Anthony, I would ask you to kind of what's the, if you come on down, what maybe the plan is for this, for that kind of money. It just seems kind of, I don't have really a problem with it. I'm just kind of want a justification in my mind to make sure that we're good.
Good morning, Nancy Bunn, Assistant County Administrator. The tax collector wanted to actually relocate the break room, so it is going to require us to move some plumbing and do some additional work in the area that she wanted to. One of the options would be could expand the existing lounge and just move some offices around, and that would reduce the costs. But she actually wanted to relocate the break room, so that causes us to have to move some plumbing and different things, drain lines, because it's going to have a sink,
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I
build
just
walls and things like
wanted
that.
to know what the, seems like just a lot of money for a break room.
Yes.
I mean, it's nothing.
And just to be clear, we'll be managing the project directly ourselves.
All right.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Anthony, we just did a break room in Building A. Could you tell me what the cost factor was for that? And that was a raw room,
Yeah, so,
all electrical, plumbing.
yes. So, go ahead.
Yeah, and there was restrooms right next to that was in the utilities area, so that's where the sink was and the drain lines. That's the additional cost, is there is no plumbing and drain lines where they want to put the lounge in the tax collector. When we did the public works break room, we tapped into the lines that are right next to that restroom, and so it was a lot less expensive.
It was substantially less, right?
Correct. So one of the options is we could look at expanding her existing lounge, so we wouldn't have to provide a new sink. We would just take one of the offices, expand it out, and then move that office to that location that they're proposing the break room. Ideally, their preference is to move the break room.
Okay, Commissioners, what's your pleasure?
Everybody's got their own microphone.
We advancing this?
I mean, I'll be happy to move approval.
We have a motion to approve.
I'll go second.
Got a second. We have a motion by Commissioner Adams, a second by Commissioner. Unless there any further discussion.
With the understanding that we're going to look at some options for price reduction,
Let the record reflect.
as stated by Ms. Bunt, that there are other avenues to take. Moving forward today it's a high point, $95,000.
That's labor.
Yeah, it's just the labor. Materials, we don't know where it's going to go. But we need to have, Commissioner Airman said, we'd like to see that they have an appropriate place to take the break. They work hard. And it's looking at ensuring that the employees can work effectively and efficiently. That's why I feel the same.
Gotcha. Fair enough. We have a motion. We have a second. Hearing no other discussions, all in favor?
Aye.
And the motion carries. Commissioners, next up is our first public hearing, item 11A1. It's the final adoption of the 2025 Indian River County Comprehensive Plan Evaluation and Appraisal Report, also known as the EAR, based amendments. And I see our colleague Patrick Murphy is here. Patrick, good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and fellow commissioners. For the record, Patrick Murphy, Chief of Long Range Planning. Well, it's taken us a long time to get here. We've had a lot of good discussion on this. We've had very, very good public input, and staff's very appreciative of the public input because this is our guiding document that really maps out how the county is going to grow in the future, and it's a very important process, and we've appreciated everyone's comment, including the commission, our own staff, and our consultants. Just wanted to go ahead and provide you sort of a quick overview of what we've done and what we've been through to get here. In March of 2023, the county initiated the RFP process to contract with a consulting agency due to the enormous undertaking of evaluating the over 1,000 goals, objectives, and policies in the comprehensive plan. Kimley Horn Associates was selected for this process, and our staff meetings began shortly after. Public engagement included 6 separate public workshops in 3 regions of the county. 2 workshops were held at the North County Library on November 16, 2023. 2 workshops were held at the Board of County Commissioner Chambers on November 29, 2023, and 2 workshops were held at the Intergenerational Center on December 13, 2023. For public hearings, on November 12, 2024, a special call meeting with the Board of County Commissioners was held where the county's planning consultant presented to the board the scope of the comprehensive plan analysis. The consultant discussed the possible revisions they had examined for each element. On June 26, 2025, the EAR-based amendments were presented to the Planning and Zoning Commission. On August 12, 2025, the amendments were presented to this board, which directed staff to take the presentation back to the PZC for further review. On August 28, 2025, the amendments were presented to PZC, which recommended approval. Then on September 9, 2025, the EAR-based amendments were presented to this board. A lengthy discussion ensued. We spent close to 5 hours, and I think we vetted a lot of it, and we had a lot of good department head discussion, very, very good questions and comments from the board, very, very good discussion from the public. Ultimately, the board approved the transmittal of the amendments to Florida Commerce. That brings us today, January 13, 2026, for our second public hearing and final adoption by the board. A quick timeline for you. The transmittal letter with all necessary documents were transmitted to and received by Florida Commerce on September 19, 2025, per state statute 163.3184, subsection 4. The EAR was also sent to the 8 state reviewing agencies. I won't list them, you see them on the slide. Florida Commerce formally reviewed the EAR transmittal and sent its analysis letter to the county on November 18, 2025, which was within the 60-day review period. Florida Commerce identified 2 proposed policies that they deemed in conflict with Senate Bill 180. They were the potable water sub-element policy 1.2 and sanitary sewer sub-element policy 1.6. The county has since removed these two policy changes from the proposed ear-based amendments. Timeline continued. The county has 180 days to hold its second public hearing and adopt the comprehensive plan amendments. If the county does not adopt the proposed amendments within this time period, the amendments are deemed withdrawn. That's what we're here for today. This is clearly within the 180 days we're having this meeting today. All comprehensive plan amendments adopted by the governing board, along with the supporting data analysis, shall then be transmitted within 10 working days after final adoption hearing, today's hearing, to the State Land Planning Agency, Board of Commerce. Board of Commerce shall notify the county of any deficiencies within 5 working days after receipt of the amendment package. An amendment adopted under this expedited state review process does not become effective until 31 days after the State Land Planning Agency notifies the local government that the plan amendment package is complete. Our recommendation, staff recommends that the Board of County Commissioners adopt the ear-based amendments and direct staff to transmit the county's proposed comprehensive plan amendment package to the Florida Department of Commerce pursuant to state statute. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy. Hopefully, fellow commissioners, you've had an opportunity to review this plan. I think we've all reviewed it many times. This is exactly what Mr. Murphy said the next step in this process is. Do we have any questions, concerns? Yes, ma'am.
I just have a comment, and that's, I guess, mainly to staff. And I expressed it at the time. You know, my concern is moving standards out of the plan, the comprehensive plan, and into the LDRs. And I said that back on September 9th. No plans to go 5 hours, not going to belabor it. But I objected at that time, particularly within the future land use element, because the LDRs, as we all know, and the community might know or should know, they can be changed more easily without community input, unlike the plan, which requires formal approval from Tallahassee. So we need to be careful about that. There's a lot of concern at the time, and my colleagues may recall, and perhaps some of you were here at the time, a lot of people attended the meeting because they were concerned specifically about height restrictions, because that was one of the standards that had been proposed to be moved to the LDRs, where it kind of has less protection, if you will. So a lot of people attended. They were very, very concerned, and we left it in the plan. So I still have that concern that we be very careful about what we might move, you know, from the plan itself to the LDRs. So I just taken this opportunity to restate it. And I still want that USGS hydrologic study updated, and that's the one from 1988. And don't worry, I'm not going to say anything more about that either. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Thank you for your comments. Commissioner Fletcher.
Yeah, and for Patrick, again, it's been a long journey, and we're required to do this and file with the state to ensure that we have a plan. Mm-hmm. The plan is not a tacit plan. It is a framework for where we're going to travel with our intentions with this county. Such being the case, we do have an opportunity to alter the plan, change the plan up the road. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. This is not a one-shot deal. We can open up any element of this plan in the future, should it be the will of the commission or our constituency.
And we can initiate that at our discretion. It's not a required timeline. There's no alteration date. We can do so at the will, pleasure of this board.
Correct. The only state requirement is every 7 years, the local government is required to evaluate its comprehensive plan to see whether or not there's been any other state laws that have come out to make sure that our plan is consistent with that changing law. However, any other elements, we can review at any given time at our discretion. It's our plan.
Well, forgive the analogy, but I would say that this is not granite, this is limestone.
It's a nice analogy.
We have an intention, and we're going forward, and we've satisfied the requirement. But if we have some unforeseen opportunities or challenges, we can bring this back.
That is correct.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Administrator.
I'd just like to point out to the board, the intent is, once the legislature resolves the inconsistency with last-minute provisions added to Senate Bill 180 last session, is that we would bring back the potable water subelement policy 1.2 and the sanitary sewer subelement policy 1.6, because at the end of the day, those are state mandates that we're trying to amend our plan to be consistent with the state. But with that new bill, that kind of put a wrench in the process. So we're just adopting everything but those two. We'll come back at a later date.
Thank you. Fellow commissioners, any other comments, concerns?
Mr. Chairman, I want to appreciate, Patrick, all the work you spent on this and the folks that helped you with it. I know you had the lion's share of it, but you did a real good job. It was consistent, it was easy for everybody to understand, and it's much appreciated with that. I agree with what Commissioner Fleischer said, what the Administrator said. I think we're ready to roll on this and send it and get it transmitted and see what the future holds. So with that, I'll make a motion to approve the EAR plan and have it transmitted to the Department of Commerce.
I appreciate that, but since this is legislative in nature, I will
Okay, I'm sorry.
open the venue for any public comment resulting or affecting our EAR. Given adequate time and not seeing any recognized, I will close the public.
With that, I'll make my motion again.
There we go. With that, we have a motion by Commissioner Ehrman.
Second.
We have a second by Commissioner Fleischer. Any further discussion by any of the board members? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. And the motion carries.
I'm opposed. I'm being consistent with my previous vote on September 9th.
Let the record reflect that Commissioner Moss did in fact oppose that vote.
Thank you for your
Next is
support,
Olivia.
Commissioners. I was just saying thank you for your support.
Yep, thank you, Patrick. Commissioners, next item is 11A2. This is a quasi-judicial matter relating to D.R. Horton's Incorporated request for a conceptual plan development, a PD, a plan of modification for Blue Water Bay PD. And with that, the two parties involved are Indian River County as well as D.R. Horton, Inc., the applicant. As we go through this quasi-judicial matter, Commissioners, I will ask for any of you to disclose any ex parte communication, site visits, or independent investigations. We'll start with Commissioner Moss.
None to my knowledge.
None that I'm aware of.
None that I'm aware of.
None that I'm aware of, Mr. Chairman.
None that I'm aware of.
And inconsistent with a quasi-judicial hearing, I will ask that each commissioner confirm that they have an open mind and are able to base their decisions on the evidence presented with the applicable law. Commissioner
Can and shall?
Can and will?
I can and will.
Can and will.
I can and will as well. At this point, we will open the public hearing. We will ask Madam Clerk to swear in any witnesses that may have an opportunity to testify. Thank you very much. We will begin this quasi-hearing with the presentation by our county staff.
All right. Good morning,
Welcome,
Chair
Brandon.
and members of the board. Before you today is the Blue Water Bay PD Conceptual Plan Development Modification Request. Property is located north of 85th Street and east of 90th Avenue. So a little bit of history on the property. So on February 15th of 2005, the Board of County Commissioners granted Plan Development Special Exception and Conceptual PD approval for the Blue Water Bay Plan Development. Preliminary PD plan/plat approval was also granted at that same time. The current makeup of the project is 379 residential units on 141.97 acres of property for a density of 2.67 units per acre. The development commenced construction but was not completed, and the preliminary PD approval expired, while the conceptual PD and special exception approvals remain valid to this day. So the request today is the applicant is seeking a modification to the approved public benefits along with an additional egress driveway connection to 85th Street, which is also County Road 510, at the southeastern portion of the property across from Treasure Coast Elementary. Reason for the request. There was a recent lawsuit that shifted access rights across the lateral D canal to a new landowner who is denying access and will not allow Blue Water Bay to build the required bridge that was part of the public benefits package. So here's just an overview of the public benefits package, what's been completed today and what still needs to be completed. So they have completed the County Road 510 right-of-way dedication for future roadway alignment, stormwater treatment for County Road 510 and right-of-way dedications are in permitting and construction completed. The 30 feet of right-of-way dedication for the future 86th Avenue has been completed. The bridge design to cross lateral D has partially been completed, and the applicants will be turning over any construction plans for the bridge should we, in the future, be able to have access over the lateral D canal to build a bridge to support other projects in the area. Intersection improvements at County Road 510 and 86th Avenue, including a traffic signal and eastbound left and westbound right turn lanes at CR 510 and 86th Avenue would need to be completed. Pedestrian connection to Treasure Coast Elementary School, as well as any cost participation, which would be proportionate fair share for any intersection improvements at County Road 510 and 66th Avenue. This would include the northbound left dual turn lane, westbound right turn lane, and an optimized signal length. This is just a copy of what the currently approved site plan shows. So you see that the bridge connection to the lateral D canal is on the northern portion of the site connecting to 90th. This is what the proposed site plan looks like. As you can see, the lateral D canal bridge has been removed. And then there is now an emergency access connected to County Road 510 as well as their regular access to 86th Avenue. At the PZC, they recommended at their December 11th meeting to vote unanimously to recommend approval for the request as proposed. Staff is also recommending that the Board of County Commissioners grant final approval for the changes as proposed to the conceptual PD plan for the Blue Water Bay PD. I would also like to take special note that at the conclusion of this, if you do recommend approval, they do still need to get their preliminary plan development approval through the Plan and Zoning Commission. It still needs to get through staff level approval as well, so this is not the end-all be-all for this project. All right, thank you.
Thank you very much, Brandon. Commissioners, any questions for Brad? Commissioner Moss.
Yeah, I was trying to understand this better because it goes back to 2005. So I requested of staff the agenda item back in 2005 and the minutes. I wanted to see what, if any, concerns there were and what the thinking was, at that time. So as it turns out, none of that is available. So then I watched the planning and zoning video, that section of it that addressed this matter, where they approved it unanimously. And Mr. Lowther, God bless him, he was here in 2005. He was on county commission. However, he didn't comment on it, other than to say that. And there was no discussion. There was one question from Mr. Landers, and that just had to do with shared driveway. So it was over in just a few minutes. I mean, and yes, they approved it unanimously, but it wasn't really based on anything. So I have a lot of discomfort with this, something from 2005. And could you please just refresh my memory, like what is good after 20 years and what expires? I mean, personally, I think everything should expire. Like 20 years, nothing or virtually nothing in this county is the same as it was back in 2005. It's actually more than 20 years ago now. But could you please, just to refresh my memory, what within this particular project remains valid and what, if anything, has expired? Could you please address that?
Yes, so in terms of the conceptual plan, so anything like public benefits, setbacks, lot coverage, anything that governs the actual plan development itself is contained within the conceptual plan, so that remains valid in perpetuity. Special exceptions also run with the land as well, so they also remain valid in perpetuity unless we were to have some sort of code that says that they do expire. In this case, for special exceptions and conceptual plan developments, there is no code section that sunsets that stuff. However, the plan development, preliminary does have a sunset, so that's the reason why the preliminary plan development's expired, but the conceptual remains valid in terms of all the negotiations that happen with public benefits, setbacks, all the specific PD parameters.
We're looking at the site plan, so the site plan is still valid?
The conceptual site
projected
plan
it?
is still valid, yes.
Is that the concept that we were looking at?
So what we're really looking at today is, and the reason why it is before you today is because a major public benefit has to be removed from the project. And it really is in no way against the applicant or really against the county. It's just there was a lawsuit with a landowner. They were able to gain access and rights to like air rights to go over the lateral D canal. They've decided that they don't want to allow anything to invade their air rights or anything to invade their space. So they have disallowed the connection. There was a time when they were thinking about allowing the applicant to build the bridge over the lateral D canal, but their council came back and decided that it wasn't within the landowner's best interest.
And the fact that some of this is in perpetuity, is that by state statute? Is that our?
It's based on our code, so we don't have anything in the code that sunsets the conceptual PD process. If we did have something in the code that sunsetted the conceptual PD process, then yes, it would expire just like the preliminary, but in our case, we do not have anything that sunsets the conceptual portion.
I'll just say as a comment, because it's general, I think it's something that we want to address. I know we're going to have a follow-up meeting for the community. We had a joint workshop with the Planning and Zoning Commission, and that was back in October. I think it was October 23rd. Everything's on videotape. It went 4 hours. And we were talking about things like this, like the definition of public benefits. But I don't think anything should be good in perpetuity. So I would ask that, we consider that at a later date. Whenever we're going to have a follow-up meeting for this meeting that we had back in October. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think Administrator, yes, sir.
I was just going to say to that point, as we continue the discussion on the plan development, there are communities that I know that do provide a time period in which the plan development must, happen, and if not, it reverts back to the underlying zoning that was there previously. So it's certainly something we can add to the agenda for a discussion at the appropriate time.
Thank you. Commissioner Adams?
Just to follow up on Commissioner Moss's comments, Ryan or Brandon, whomever, can you guys go through the process of what a conceptual site plan is versus the final site plan and how you get from one to the other and what changes might be made along the way?
So the conceptual site plan is really our chance to do all the negotiation up front. So for plan development specifically, we negotiate all the public benefits. We negotiate, are we going to allow these certain setbacks? Are we going to allow the developments to have, certain roadway characteristics? Do we like the stormwater ponds? Like really all the design elements is what goes into the conceptual stage. And conceptual is really kind of what conceptual means. It's approved in theory, but they still have to come back for the final site plan, or in our case, the preliminary site plan, to then say, hey, we negotiated and we wanted 7.5-foot side setbacks. Do you have 7.5-foot side setbacks? We negotiated, we're gonna have a traffic signal at an intersection. Are you providing this traffic signal at the intersection? So that's really our chance to make sure that they're adhering to what the commission wanted at the conceptual stage. And then that's why the preliminary stops at the Plan and Zoning Board, because you guys already did all the heavy lifting up front with, approving, you accepted the public benefits, you accepted the setbacks, you accepted all the design parameters of the plan development, and then really the preliminary is just going back and making sure that they're adhering to everything that we're saying. And then you have kind of the final stage, which is the final plan development, which really acts as a final plat for, being able to construct homes, being able to move people in, and so on and so forth.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes. Commissioner Irvin.
Ryan, how does this fit in with the state's construction of 510 with these improvements they want to make to the road and stuff like that? Is it an issue? Is it not an issue? Because I know construction's supposed to start this year.
It's already started, yeah.
Yeah,
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Inman, for the record, Ryan Sweeney, Assistant Planning Development Services Director. Yeah, so the leg that's just south of 512 has already started. It's kind of a chicken and egg scenario. Blue Water Bay you've driven by it, it's been partially constructed for nearly 20 years. The removal of the bridge connection to the north-south portion of 510, I mean, for that part, it simplifies for DOT because it's one less driveway, one less bridge connection. The signalization of 86th Avenue is already being coordinated with DOT. However, like I said, it's kind of a chicken and egg. This needs to be approved in order for DOT to really engage this proposal, if you will.
So this would be a new signal that wasn't in the DOT plan.
Correct.
That they would pay for, but they're coordinating with
Correct. The
DOT.
developer would coordinate directly with DOT.
Okay.
Ryan, can you also verify that the curve for 510, that was right away, or
That's already- yes,
that was part of
correct.
the public benefit? It's already been donated,
Correct.
and that's why you see the wall the way it is and so much space there, because they already did that in advance for the future widening of 510.
Yes, that's
So
been
that
in
public
place.
benefit's already been accrued to the public, or well, yes, they'll be able to do that turn.
Yeah, it would have been considerably more expensive if they had to acquire it. The other point for your edification is that the other new driveway connection is an emergency access. It's not a full driveway connection. It's emergency access and a pedestrian connection that's directly in line with the driveway to the elementary school on the south side.
Any further questions?
The internal layout, which has been done, yes, many years ago, has not been altered or affected by any of the external changes.
That's correct. It hasn't changed.
The external changes have made adjustment for the buses and for the traffic, but in essence, an old plan is still effective at this point. And that we might bring up another subdivision that was planned somewhere around 2006. I think it's Liberty.
You have them right down the road.
And it may be going forward at a more accelerated rate, but it's basically close to the original plan, which I still have in the office.
Correct.
Not much has changed to alter either of these two. We'll specifically talk about the topic at hand, the location. Nothing has changed that's going to impact the roadway design, the placement, the homes, to your knowledge.
Yes, that is correct. Nothing external is affecting the development. Actually, the emergency access is going through open space track that they have, so it doesn't affect any of the lots or anything else.
And the roadway will be improved, and it's not going to change any setback or
No,
move the wall
nope.
any further.
Right, early on, they did sort of propose wanting to revisit the whole PD and try to, squeeze in more lots, and we said, no, that's not where we're at. So none of that has changed. This is purely just essentially the issue, again, not through no fault of their own, is the canal. They don't have any ownership or control over the canal.
So Ryan, could you also comment on how staff worked with the property owner's representative or the D.R. Horton's representative to evaluate the existing infrastructure that was constructed years ago to make sure it was like, I know we had some of the stormwater ponds and some of the other things to make sure that they were up to county standards.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, Commissioner. So they did do a preliminary assessment of the existing utilities and roadways, and stormwater. The land development permit, which is the construction drawings, that will come after the preliminary PD. There will be some remedial work. I mean, same thing happened with, if you all are familiar with Harbor Isle, which is US 1 and 510. They had to, replace a lot of sections of pipe and replace some road base. So it will be a challenge, but it is something that has to occur when the infrastructure sits in the ground for that length of time. But they're fully aware.
And Ryan, just for the record, this is within the USB.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. Any further questions, commissioners?
Mr. Chair, the applicant's rep is here if they have any questions or comments.
At this point in the quasi, we will shift to a presentation by the applicant. If the applicant has any concerns for this body.
Good morning. My name is Anna Saunders with LJ, representing D.R. Horton. Respectfully, don't need to waste any more of your time. Staff did a great job summarizing the project. If you have any specific questions for us, I'm more than happy to answer those.
Thank you, commissioners. Any questions for the applicant?
Thank you.
Hearing none, at this point, we will entertain any questions or concerns by the public. Please come forward if the public has any questions over this Blue Water project. Hearing none, we'll have the final presentation by county staff. Brandon, if you have anything to close with?
No, sir.
And applicant, ma'am, anything to close with?
No, just thank you for the opportunity again. It's a project that's 95% constructed. The music stopped in 2007-ish. We were left without a chair like a couple other projects, and we're looking forward to moving forward with this project and getting it constructed and built. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for your time. At this time, we will double check with the clerk to make sure all documents and tangible evidence have been admitted into evidence and are in the hands of our clerk. At this point, we will close the public hearing. Commissioners, after an extensive review in the past, and Commissioner Fletcher, some 20 years that you're familiar with the case, the decision now is up to us. What is this board's pleasure?
Mr. Chair.
Chair, Commissioner Fletcher.
Have you ensured that the clerk has all tangible evidence?
Yes.
Such being the case, again, there was a discussion that things have changed. Yes, a lot of things change by the day. But I feel confident, as I did initially, that this plan was well-founded and nothing has changed to change my thought process personally on what could happen with this fine parcel of land. So with that, I move approval.
First, we have a motion by Commissioner Fletcher. I will second the motion. We have a motion and a second. Any further comments? Hearing none, seeing none, all in favor? Aye. And the motion carries. Okay. Next item, Commissioners, is another legislative issue. This is 11A3. This is consideration of staff-initiated land development regulations, LDR, amendment to create allowance and regulations for mobile food dispensing vehicles, food trucks, as this is legislative in nature. I should add also, Commissioners, that there will not be a decision here. This, if you read the backup, this is for discussion purposes albeit under legislative matters. And we will, in fact, discuss this matter and have it come back to us in the very, very near future. With that, good morning again, Brandon.
All right, thank you. So before I formally begin, I just want to note that staff took careful consideration for the commission's discussion that they had back in July on this. The ordinance and the regulations have been crafted specifically to what you all requested at the July meeting, and then also in concert with what we're allowed to do via state statute. So with that, I'll begin. So good morning, Chair and members of the board. Before you today is the land development regulation amendments to the introduce mobile food dispensing vehicle or food truck regulations within unincorporated Indian River County. So the LDR amendment process is legislative in nature. It requires a public hearing by the Planning and Zoning Commission with a recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners, and then a final public hearing by the Board of County Commissioners. So a little background and analysis. The county's land development regulations currently have no regulations for mobile food dispensing vehicles and are therefore considered prohibited across the board with a few exceptions. So they may be approved through a temporary use permit at a special event, or they may operate at the Gifford Farmers Market, which this ordinance proposal today has no effect on the Gifford Farmers Market. They're still going to be able to do what they need to do out there. So I just wanted to make note of that. Thank you. In 2020 and 2023, the state of Florida adopted certain statutes that preempt local government from imposing their own licensing or fees. Local governments maintain the ability to regulate food trucks, though with respect to location or zoning district, hours of operation, site compatibility, and aesthetic standards. On July 15th, 2025, the Board of County Commissioners directed staff to prepare a set of staff-initiated regulations. Staff gathered and analyzed input from the commission and prepared the regulations based on that input from the requirements of Section 509.102, which governs mobile food dispensing vehicles of Florida statutes. Based on the definition of mobile food dispensing vehicles contained within Florida statutes, staff prepared the following definition to insert to Section 901.03 of the county LDRs, and this is verbatim from state statute. Mobile food dispensing vehicles, or mobile food trucks, shall mean any vehicle that is a public food service establishment and that is self-propelled or otherwise movable from place to place, and which includes self-contained utilities, including but not limited to gas, water, electricity, or liquid waste disposal, consistent with the definition provided in Section 509.102 Florida statutes. So now we're going to get into the land development highlights. So state preemption and compliance, it's regulated under Section 509.102 of Florida statutes. Shall maintain a valid state license under Chapter 509 of Florida statutes, shall comply with state health, sanitation, and food handling requirements. The county cannot require a separate county-issued business tax receipt, license registration, food service permit, or fees specific to mobile food dispensing. Local regulations shall be limited to zoning, public safety, traffic, and location standards consistent with state preemptions. Mobile food dispensing vehicles, at least in this proposal today, will be limited to operations within the heavy commercial, light industrial, general industrial, and commercial PD zoning districts. Placement may not obstruct public sidewalks, roadways, which are public or private, required building access, driveways, drive aisles, loading areas, or fire lanes. Operate within 10 feet of any building entrance or 20 feet of any intersection or traffic control device without prior authorization by the county, or operate on an unimproved or unpaved surface unless it's part of a special event. So kind of think of the special event like the fair that we usually have. That would be something where they could be on an unimproved or unpaved surface. Hours of operation, 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. unless approved through a special event, again, like the county fair. May not remain overnight and shall vacate the premise at 10:30 p.m. unless approved through a special event. As far as waste management, shall provide self-contained refuse and liquid waste storage. Waste shall not be discharged into the ground, into stormwater drains, or into any water body. All litter and debris shall be removed before vacating the area. Utilities. All power connections shall be self-contained and plugged into an approved power source meeting county building and fire codes. Generators shall not create excess noise or fumes. Parking and access. Shall not occupy required parking spaces for the property's principal use unless approved through a special event. So kind of think of we'll take Walmart, for example. Let's say they have to have 200 parking spaces, but they have 500 parking spaces. They wouldn't be able to occupy those 200, something on one of those 200 spaces, but the excess 300 spaces, they would be able to have the food truck in any of those areas, which typically they would do in the back of the parking lot. As far as signage, shall be affixed to the vehicle and no more than one freestanding A sign shall be allowed. Inflatable and flashing signs are prohibited. Furniture, no tables, chairs, or tents allowed unless part of an approved special event where those items are allowed. Vendor credentials, the respective state DBPR license as well as fire and health department inspection reports shall be displayed and available. Property owner's consent, must have written consent and be prepared to present it to county officials upon request. Special event and coordination shall conform to all event-specific conditions imposed by the county and applicable fire, law enforcement, or emergency management agencies. And then just other LDR considerations, as I kind of highlighted earlier, this does not remove the Gifford Farmers Market or mobile lunch truck allowances. The PZC, at their meeting on December 11th, 2025, voted unanimously to recommend approval of the proposed ordinance and the mobile food dispensing vehicle regulations with one change regarding the timing of the ordinance's effective enforcement date as follows. This ordinance shall take effect 90 days after final adoption by the Board of County Commissioners. So this gives people time to make sure that they're in compliance before any code enforcement action would be taken. Staff recommends that the BZC adopt the proposed land development amendments to institute mobile vehicle dispensing vehicles or food truck regulations within unincorporated Indian River County. Thank you.
Brandon, if I can add, where you mentioned the staff recommendation, if I can defer that to the county administrator, specific to what this body is expected to resolve today, sir.
So what we're asking is that you evaluate, we have provided this, they did go over it at the P&Z meeting, and looking at the definition, looking at the various components as it relates to the location, placement, the operational standards, the hours of operation, the duration, just those basic things that we can regulate through zoning. I think the board asked as a whole that we go out and we look at what other communities were doing, not reinvent the wheel, and bring back what would be appropriate for Indian River County. And I think this does that. I think there's some room for discussion on certain items, as I've spoke with several of you individually. I know some have expressed concerns about the hours of operation, the prohibition of tents and/or seating, and I think the other was the awnings. So, I think those are realistic conversations to have. I understand that there was also one member that expressed why not allow them to keep it on site on a permanent basis, at least more than overnight. So, for each of those, we could, provide, I'll take a shot, and then Ryan can. The hours of operation, I'll just tell you personally, professionally, I'm not sure that there should be a limitation to some degree. The ability to keep it overnight or at a permanent location, I think that's a little problematic in that, when you consider some, not just restaurants, but other businesses that are bricks and mortar that have expended large amounts of capital to have a business location, and to leave a food vendor truck, or even if it was some other retail type of truck in one location, it's certainly, there's an equity, and I think there's an equity and fairness discussion there. The tents and the camp and the seats, I can just tell you, having, who likes to go to food trucks, I mean, it's Fellsmere, and there's one on the south east corner. They have, the canopy tent with some seats, and, we go out there and we sit down, eat some tacos, and then leave. It's not been a problem. So I think there's some reasonable discussion points on those items that the board should provide direction to staff, especially since some members have expressed concerns regarding these items. And so I'll just return it to the board for further questions and comments.
In other words, there will be no legislative actions today. There will be no ordinance creation and/or modification. This is simply a discussion, albeit under a legislative matter.
So you have a proposed ordinance as part of the packet, and what you ultimately determine as the policymakers, as a legislative body, we would, work with the county attorney's office, modify that ordinance to reflect what you would like to see for Indian River County's food truck ordinance.
Okay?
If I may.
Thank you. At this time, yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. Really quick, I just want to make sure, because it is reflected for a public hearing, that we still do open the public hearing, and what
Yes,
we can
ma'am.
do is continue it to a time certain to another date.
We certainly will have public hearing.
Okay.
Before that, we'll see if the commissioners have any questions or concerns.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. I just, at this time, I want to thank staff for working diligently on this process, and I want to thank some of the vendors, the business people who have spoken and voiced their opinion. And I also want to thank them for the opportunity to witness something that I just wanted to talk about a minute. You see, we had no legislation, but we had some code ordinances that curtailed certain endeavors and activities. Food trucks were treated as an enigma for many years, a scab, a nomadic business that did not want to pay for the brick and mortar location. It was looked at in a whole different view. I want you to know that some of the finest food comes out of food trucks. And we all go to, let's say, the firefighters' fair, and we anticipate to having some special delightful treats from these trucks. And, well, when there was a discussion about some violations, we then had said, well, we're going to create an ordinance. And when we wanted to create an ordinance, there was a problem because there were some food truck vendors in the community that there was a perception that they may have overstepped their bound, which they did not. But the food trucks themselves were operating, and there was a dilemma with the banner flags, and, well, we have to sort that out. I want you to know the county administrator had suspended, abated any enforcement during that time. That's correct, sir?
That's correct, sir.
And well over 6 months, and this is the point I want to make, in over 6 months, with no enforcement, that collectively there are many vendors, nothing has changed. They are allowed to operate without enforcement. And you would think that if that's the case, that many would come and they would start overstepping their bounds. They did not. I want you to know that the food truck operators have been very respectful and well operating. The public is being serviced with another opportunity, reasonable rated food as far as price, and they're also able to go out and get a meal. As a matter of fact, some of them are actually Uber Eats associated, and so people just phone in orders and they're picked up and they take off. They really have not had a negative impact on the community. And the state says that we can't compare brick and mortar or limit their operation for brick and mortar. So I just wanted to say thank you for them to being patient. I think this is a great opportunity to be able to move forward. Again, the food truck operators are not what our fathers dealt with. They're not an inner city enigma. They are a viable resource. Some of the things that were discussed by Mr. Chikanich were some things that we had offered. One in particular was that the state says that there's no limitation on time. And again, we could do that, but I want to point out in the city of Sebastian and in the county, there was a time where a restaurant needed renovations, and the food trucks were requested to be in there so that the dining public would be able to have some food. This was an alcohol licensed establishment, and in order to do that, the food truck was stationed there well into the early hours. And that's allowed by the state, and I don't think that we should have a time limit with that instance. So I'd like to see something carved out in there if they are contracted. In addition, we talked about the tents. Again, you don't want to have a carnival atmosphere. I get it. The limitation on spots. When there are allowable spots, then I believe that there could be something carved out where they could have a tent. Imagine going to a food truck and waiting, and again, it does take a little time to prepare it. These are short order professionals, well prepped. Actually, some of them operate with a chef, a sous chef, and someone to handle the transaction, which incidentally is by and large and by far by card. There's very little cash that is exchanged. Most people just want to tap and go, tap and go. And if that's the case, we should respect that and give them an opportunity to have a dining experience as well. Again, with caution. I know, again, I mentioned that we don't want to have a carnival-like atmosphere, but it hasn't happened when there was no enforcement for 6 months. And I think that's a fair time for something to go wrong, for something to be obtrusive. I think that the food trucks are a whole different environment. They're very costly to operate when you think about what they have to do, preparing, not only just preparing a menu, but preparing a service and all of the amenities. But not only that, they are subject to health department regulations. So they have to keep a licensed, sterile environment. These are not just pickup trucks with a food distribution point. These are businesses, and the vehicles have to be well-maintained. There's fuel, and there's many obligations already. And I just want to say that I think they've been operating in a very respectful fashion. So this is our opportunity to tune it up a little bit, to make sure that we keep it on course and make it right.
Thank you, Commissioner Fleischer. Any other commissioners have a comment? Commissioner Moss?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Actually, this is a question, a legal question, I guess, since it was mentioned that we might want to discuss having it be fixed. Is it defined in state statute? I'm looking at the proposed ordinance now, Section 1, the inserted paragraph. It says, "A mobile food dispensing vehicle, that is food trucks, shall mean any vehicle that is a public food service establishment and that is self-propelled or otherwise movable from place to place, and which includes self-contained utilities, such as gas, water, electricity, or liquid waste disposal, consistent with the definition provided in Section 502.102 Florida statutes." So it has to be, it seems to me that it has to be movable, I mean, by state definition, by state statute. So we don't need to discuss any food truck being fixed.
If I may.
Ms. Prado?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, Madam Commissioner, yes, that is the exact language from Section 509.102 in the Florida statute, subsection 1A. That is the exact definition of a mobile food dispensing vehicle. So yes,
So by definition, it's got to move.
yes, it has to move.
Okay, thank you.
Well, it has to be movable. It doesn't give us a time frame, if you will. Thank you.
Commissioner?
Mr. Chair, and one other thing, I noticed where it lies as far as zoning, and I did see that CG wasn't there. That is also where there are a couple of big box stores, nationally known to have food vending at the threshold. In some jurisdictions, they have them where they're actually permanently there with a skirting around it. And again, that's an understanding with the PUD process that they have this exception as far as the orange store and the blue store. They have allowed the opportunity to do that. Well, if they are in CG, and if that's the case, then they would not be allowed to have anything other than a hot dog cart, which would be inconsistent. But furthermore, I think that leaving CG out of the mix, what happens there is it allows the opportunity to ensure that we don't have any brick and mortar conflict, ex post facto. That's what we're doing there. If that's the case, I just for your consumption, why would a restaurant, other than if they had their kitchen being renovated so that they needed it, why would they have someone in their parking lot? They wouldn't. So really, by not having CG in there with some clean patternization, again, I understand you don't want to have the carnival-like environment, but I don't think it would exist. Let's say an auto parts location or I don't know, a clothing store, a large area parking location, would like to have the food truck there, there is no correlation of competition. It's a special, i.e., it's almost like a special event. But I just think that we should at least consider it, because in many jurisdictions, it has been a marketable promoter for business and in the community. Again, specifically, why this all came up was a particular distributor had a particular food vendor there for more than 3 days, and there was a couple of code enforcement concerns. In essence, I have watched that business. There could be other factors. That food truck was a draw. And that food truck actually complemented the business. And people missed it until we abated the enforcement. And then it went back to, well, we can operate again. The challenge is the limitation on spots. So I think that's one that, well, if we have required spots, we shouldn't be reducing it below the number in which that site was approved for initially. So, but that's the only other comment.
Thank you, Commissioner. I think at this point, even though this is not officially legislative, let's open this to public comment. I know we have people that have patiently been waiting. If you would like to address this body and perhaps provide us some suggestions, some concerns that we can take forward as collectively the administrator, our legal team, our commissioners, and our staff create, in fact, legislation, i.e. an ordinance in the future. So if anyone has any discussions or if you'd like to reach out to us anytime soon, we would be happy to. Yes, sir. Name and record for the address, name and address for the record, please.
Morning, Chairman. I am Dane Jones, owner of Good Old Grind, 8850 North US Highway 1, Sebastian.
Welcome.
Just want to make a note that Mr. Flesher had answered all my concerns. So
Thank you very much.
I appreciate it. Thank you guys for your time.
Thank you. Any further? Hearing none, we'll close the quasi, or not even quasi, the legislative.
Mr. Chairman?
Commissioner Ehrman.
I do agree with about everything Commissioner Fleischer said. Reading the draft of the ordinance, one concern I had if it was the unpaved or, they must operate on an unpaved or unimproved pervious surface unless it's part of an approved special event. They're going to have to operate sometime on grass. Not just at the fair, but at different events and things like that. I mean, we're going to make sure that that's okay. They may be they may have landowner's permission, but at times it's probably going to happen to where they have to operate on a grass surface. I would think that, we'd prefer them to be on a paved surface, but sometimes the grass thing would be that. I don't know how we'd enforce the times per se, whether you 9:30, 10 o'clock, midnight, other than that's just something to think about with regards to that. I think the key in here for most of this is they have to have the owner's permission of the property. I think that's the key element in all this, that they have the owner's permission. I think they should be able to operate in that area. As regards to the furniture, I think as long as it's not making a carnival atmosphere, it's not impeding travel or impeding if there's another vendor there, which I know that's kind of what they do. I really don't see a problem with that, with regards to having something small out there, not in excess. That's really about all I have. I think Commissioner Fleischer summed up a lot of it, of what I'd like to see us take a look at, but, and he makes a good point, too. We haven't had an issue for the past 6 months. I don't think we're going to have any. I don't think we're going to have any more, and I think we need to be pro-business. I don't think it interferes. Some restaurant owners have been concerned, but that's when, to my knowledge, it's been when a food truck is basically in the parking lot in front of the restaurant. You know, I mean.
Correct. And we
you know, I
can
mean,
hopefully legislate.
I think
common
that's
sense.
probably inappropriate, but I don't think it's been a big issue. I think if we do, we'd have to address that at the time if we see that. But overall, with those few changes, I think Commissioner Fleischer summed it up. I think CG is something we need to look at for sure. And because it does happen, like you said, like you go to Lowe's has a hot dog stand in front of their building, but 100 feet out in the parking lot, there's a taco truck. You know, sometimes out in the parking lot. So, you know, if they had the owner's permission, that's their parking lot. You know, it's just something to work out. So that's kind of where I'm at, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
if I could, again, for the record, Ryan Sweeney, Assistant Planning Development Services Director. I'm picking up on sort of 3 key items that I do kind of want to seek firm direction on, so that when we bring it back, we're hopefully in good shape. As far as hours of op, we can just strike it entirely. I mean, currently, we do not regulate restaurant operation hours other than for the sale of alcoholic beverages, which stops at 2 a.m. So we can remove it in its entirety. We do still have the noise ordinance. So if they are operating, you know, adjacent to or nearby residential or even commercial, there are noise standards that's fine. Tables and tents, I would recommend that we do keep it fairly limited. I believe a 10 by 10 tent is exempt from fire code regulations, so we can do a 10 by 10 with a picnic table. Again, it can't impede sidewalks or handicap access or anything like that. And then as far as CG, my only suggestion for CG would be that it be CG, but with a minimum 3-acre site. We don't want to see a proliferation of these really small sites like a convenience store or fast food's probably not an option, but dollar stores. Those sites are really tight. They typically don't have excess parking anyways. They're usually parked right at the number, so they wouldn't have the extra spaces. So, but shopping centers, Publix plazas, Home Depots, Lowe's, things that are on larger acreage sites typically do have excess parking. So I would just suggest if we're going to go down the CG route that we have a minimum 3-acre. It'd be very straightforward for the operators to, you know, we have our zoning maps. They can very quickly check on property appraiser. Oh yeah, it's at least 3 acres. We can even prepare maps that say these sites are what's allowed. So those are my suggestions. I don't know if we want to take an individual sort of consensus on each item or if we can just run with that.
Well, thank you, Mr. Sweeney. I think what we'll do is, after the discussion today, give your office and Ms. Prado and her office an opportunity to review some of the discussions that we've had with respect to that. And we look forward to when you bring this back to us so we can solidify and actually create legislation within the county with respect to our food trucks. Commissioners, we do not need a vote on this, as this is just a general discussion.
I do have a question. Ryan and Susan, was that enough direction to move forward to bring something back?
Yes, I believe so. Yes, and we'll have to we'll re-advertise and have a subsequent public hearing.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Yes, this will be continued. So with that, at this time, it is 10:24.
We need a time certain, or a date certain on the continuance?
Mr. Chair, we'll re-advertise entirely, so we're not going to do an open and continue. We'll re-advertise it.
That's okay. Thank you, Commissioner Fleischer, for looking out for me. At this time, this meeting is adjourned. We on recess, excuse me, not adjournment, recess until 10:30 a.m. Thank you.
I love that. I'm going to add that in.
The time is 10:30. Welcome back. If we can take our seats. Commissioners, the next item is 11A4. This is Hires Property LLC, request to rezone approximately plus or minus 18.08 acres from Ag District A1 to RS3, single-family residential, and this is in fact a quasi-judicial hearing. The parties involved are Indian River County as well as Hires Property LLC, which in fact is the applicant. At this part of the meeting, Commissioners, since this is quasi-judicial, I will ask that you disclose any ex parte communication, site visits, or independent investigations. Commissioner Moss.
Yes, sir, none to my knowledge.
None that I'm aware of.
None to my knowledge.
None that I'm aware of.
At this point, Commissioners, we will confirm that each of you have an open mind and are able to base their decisions on the evidence presented by the applicable law. Commissioner
Can and shall.
Can and will.
Can and will.
All right, thank you, Commissioners. At this point, we will open the public hearing. We will ask the clerk to swear in any witnesses that may be testifying collectively. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do. Thank you, Madam Clerk, and thank you, potential witnesses.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Good morning,
fellow-
Patrick.
And fellow commissioners. For the record, I'm still Patrick Murphy and still the Chief of Long Range Planning. Here today to discuss the Hires Properties LLC rezoning request. A quick slide here in the development pattern and zoning history. This is an 18.08 acre site. It lies within the urban service area. It's on the south side of 8th Street, about 0.4 miles east of 58th Avenue. Contains an L1 low-density residential 1 future land use designation, allowing up to 3 units per acre, and it is currently zoned A1 agricultural zoning. I'm going to pause for a moment to mention that this property, as you look at the maps, may look a little familiar to you. This property did come before you in July of last year under a different applicant, I must make note of, for a planned development and named Floresta Gardens. That project was ultimately denied its approval, and it was recommended that this property seek an RS3 zoning category, which is what's consistent to the south and the east. And since then, a new applicant has taken over and submitted this application. So if it looks familiar, that's the reason why. The parcel has been zoned A1 since the adoption of the county's original zoning atlas and has historically been used for single-family residential purposes. Over the past 50 years, development along 8th Street has transitioned from agricultural uses to predominantly low-density, single-family neighborhoods, consistent with the L1 land use designation that this area exists upon. To the north, along 8th Street, are 4 A1 zoned single-family parcels created in the 1970s, including a 1.5 acre A1 parcel embedded in the subject site, but excluded from this request. All of these parcels are legally non-conforming due to their lot size. They're all less than 5 acres, which is the minimum for A1. Across 8th Street to the north are RS3 zone developments, including Laurel Oaks, Glendale Elementary School to the northeast, further to the northeast, Glendale Lakes, and farther, Hampton Park PD at the northwest. To the east and southeast are additional RS3 subdivisions such as Heron Crest, Indian Oaks, and large lot single-family homes. South of the subject site is the Cypress Lake PD, zoned RS3. To the west are A1 parcels with pasture land and single-family homes. The subject site is surrounded entirely by residential uses, and there are no adjacent commercial or industrial zones, ensuring consistency with the locational criteria outlined within Policy 1.43 of the Comprehensive Plan. Existing versus proposed zoning. The current zoning of A1 allows low-density residential, allowing 1 dwelling unit up to 5 acres. The proposed zoning of RS3 also allows single-family residential up to 3 units per acre, and the site is suited for residential infill development within the urban service area. Per Table 2.14 of the county's comprehensive plan, A1 zoning is not permitted under the property's L1 future land use designation. RS3, however, is an appropriate implementing district for the L1 designation and would bring the parcel into conformity with the county's plan. On this slide, you'll see a quick comparison for the development standards of A1 and RS3 in terms of its setbacks, lot width, and open space and lot coverage. Analysis per chapter 902.12 subsection 3, all rezoning items are evaluated against items A through K of this section of the LDRs. Item A deals with compatibility. Staff found no conflicts with the applicable land development regulations. For the requested RS3 zoning, RS3 is appropriate for this L1 designation. Item B, comprehensive plan elements. The proposed zoning is consistent with all elements of the comprehensive plan, aligning with policies 4.1, 2.2, 1.11, 1.12, and 1.43. Item C, land uses. The subject site is currently undeveloped, and the proposed RS3 zoning would not cause any conflicts. No land use amendment changes required for this request, since the zoning is consistent with its designation. The applicant's request brings the zoning into conformity with the future land use element. Items D through K, this happens to deal with the county's thoroughfare plan, roadway level of service, environmental conditions, public services, natural resources, compatibility, and compliance with county plans. Items D through K, staff has found no inconsistencies with these standards of review. Therefore, all rezoning review criteria have been satisfied. Conclusion and recommendation. The requested RS3 zoning district is compatible with the surrounding area, is consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the county's adopted comprehensive plan, is consistent with the county's land development regulations, is deemed suitable for the subject property, and supported by staff. With that, the staff and Planning and Zoning Commission recommend that the Board of County Commissioners approve this request to rezone the subject property from A1 to RS3. I'd be happy to answer any questions the commission may have. Also like to point out the applicant's representative is in attendance today, is here to answer any questions as well.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy. Commissioners, any questions of staff? Commissioner Moss.
Yes, thank you. For the community, so the most intense use of this property would go from 5 dwelling units to 54 dwelling units. So that's a tenfold increase on this property. I'm going to look at item E in the backup. I'm just going to read. This represents a theoretical increase of 482 daily trips at full build-out. The extent of any impact to 8th Street will depend on the specific development proposed at the subdivision or site plan stage. There's a real problem with doing this. I'm not going to let it affect my decision today, but I do want to consider this. You know, we rezone things, and it's theoretical, and it can lead to real problems. We already know from community outreach that the community is very concerned about traffic. You know, we already have data on that. So it's not my personal opinion. I want to be responsive to the community, although I certainly have experienced it along with the community. 8th Street, 58th and 8th, there's a lot of development there, and we need to consider, you know, the entire area. You know, I mean, it's like from 58th down to US 1 in the future. Again, I'm not going to have this effect today because I know that currently we allow this. We allow rezoning. But rezoning, to me, it's operating in the blind. It's too much theory. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't really know what we're approving. We've had before us on other matters, we've had people come in and complain about, well, why are you allowing, you know, another car wash? Why are you allowing another storage unit? Well, it's zoned for that. So zoning is really critical. I mean, you can have, you know, death by rezoning in this county. And that's a real concern of mine. So do you want to, you know, address any of that? Like, I don't know if you even can address traffic at this point, but you certainly know 8th Street, you certainly know the composition of, I mean, we can look at it, it's in the backup. You know, you can see how dense it is. And that one that's on the corner of 58th and 8th that, you know, people have complained to me about, and I haven't really even seen it, but somehow it's an, I don't know, I'm not sure how to characterize it. It's an insult or to the community.
Sure, yeah, Mr. Chair, again, for the record, Ryan Sweeney, Assistant Planning Development Services Director. So Again, as Mr. Murphy mentioned, this property was proposed to be developed under a planned development scenario last year. Under that scenario, they were proposing smaller lots with reduced setbacks. In fairness, even under that design with reduced setbacks and reduced lot widths, they were proposing a total of 44 units at 2.43 units per acre, still well below the 3 cap. So the term theoretical, it's not really theoretical, it's just basic math. You take 18.08 times 3, and that's what the number is. I've said it before, and I'll say it again, under conventional zoning, you just physically cannot get to that number with lot width, with stormwater, with roadway, with landscape, with all the other things that are required in our code. Generally, a really well-designed conventional subdivision would yield about 2 units per acre. So in that regard, we're looking more at something like 36 units. This also, I believe, in this particular case, this property, because a lot of the same area is in the cut and fill, so that's a whole nother level of potentially losing some units due to larger stormwater requirements. That being said, we are keenly aware of traffic, and if a subdivision is proposed, traffic would be looked at further. Just to be clear, at 35 units times roughly 10 trips per unit, that would actually be below the 400 trip threshold. So this particular property could even develop below the traffic study threshold. A larger project like Hampton Park with 150 units, that's a different scenario.
Well, thank you, Mr. Sweeney. Any further questions for Mr. Sweeney?
No, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I also wanted to tack on to the comments Mr. Sweeney just made, that when the previous project did come before us, it did propose a number of units that did trip the threshold for a full traffic study. They did submit one, and that study did not yield any actual physical improvements necessary to 8th Street to bring the level of service back up to acceptable standards. That level of development did not fail the road. The road improvements they were going to do were public benefits as part of that planned development. This particular project has anticipated about 35 units when you take out the road, the stormwater, the buffers, and the setbacks. And so it's even less than what the previous one was actually proposing.
We thank you for that, Mr. Murphy, and we certainly recognize that in the long debate we had in 2025 over this particular item. One thing for Mr. Sweeney, this in fact is within the urban service boundary.
That is correct.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
This neighborhood's in my hood. It's down in my area. I don't live very far at all from this. And we nixed the last one for basically the design and the compaction and of the houses and all that stuff. I'm glad to hear that this zoning gives us a little more room, a little more freedom. I, like Commissioner Moss, am concerned about 8th Street. I drive 8th Street all the time. This is on the south side, which has to go over to Indian River Farms Canal, so there only could be one exit, one entrance. They are fairly close to 58th. I assume that most traffic would go out that way where there is a stoplight at 58th and 8th Street, but still, going east, you don't get a stoplight till you hit 43rd. You have the school traffic and all that stuff. So I can see an issue with adding more cars down there with traffic with the school during school hours and et cetera. Yes, this is a much better zoning than the PD was for this area. I'm like everybody else. I'm not crazy about new rooftops in the county, but if it's a good idea, it meets the criteria, and you said it's within the urban service line, which I know it is. It's those are just some points I wanted to make, because those are my concern is basically more of the traffic on a 2-lane road that hasn't really been improved ever since it was built, other than it was widened a couple of feet when they repaved the road 20 or 30 years ago. That's my only concern, the fact that it's, again, another one-entrance subdivision where you've heard me in the past, especially down 43rd Avenue south of Oslo. Why don't we have, two entrances and an exit and entrance in different locations? And just like the previous one we talked about today. So I really don't know what other further questions to ask, and I'm just kind of venting, so a little bit.
Appreciate that.
But other than that, that's what.
That- We'll hear from the applicant. Welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner. Members of the commission, my name is Dan Sorrow with Mill Short and Associate, representing the property owner and applicant, and we're in full agreement with staff's recommendation. I think that they've done a very good job of going through the analysis and bringing about the points after the PD was denied, I think, last year. This is really the next course of action for the property owner to have equity in the property. And, you know, this is in the urban service boundary, so the ag uses are no longer appropriate when you have water and sewer available. RS3 is the surrounding zoning district of all the similar properties to the north, the east, and the south. So it is a logical development pattern to first fill up the urban service boundary before you do areas outside the urban service boundary. So this is just a typical development pattern that you see in municipalities all throughout South Florida, and we thank you for this. And I think, as Mr. Murphy mentioned, we did prepare a initial conceptual plan. We yielded about 32 lots that were all the RS3, which are the 80 by 150 for the 12,000 square foot minimum. So you are providing a little bit of extra space on the side setbacks and rear setbacks and front yards. So we're excited to bring that plan before you in the future. And just thank you for your time this morning. Thank you for your service. Happy New Year, and appreciate the time this morning. Thank you.
Well, we thank you as well, sir. At this time, as part of the quasi-judicial, we will open this hearing up to the public. If you have any questions or concerns for the body, the applicant, or county officials, please step forward. Giving adequate time, we will now close the public hearing. This is an opportunity for final presentations by the county. Patrick, Ryan, if you have any. Seeing none and hearing none, final presentations by the applicant. Seeing none and hearing none. At this point, we'll make sure that all documents and tangible evidence have been admitted into the evidence and are in the hands of our clerk. So noted. The county staff agenda materials are automatically admitted into evidence unless there are any objections. At this point, again, we will close the public hearing. Commissioners, your thoughts and concerns and direction suggested.
Mr. Chair, I'd be happy to move approval.
We have a motion by Commissioner Adams, a second by myself. Any further discussions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
And the motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Jordan and Mr. Sweeney. Commissioner, the next item on the list brings us to departmental matters, and we will entertain B, Community Services. 13B1 is the Children's Services. Sorry?
We actually have Kathy Copeland, who's, remember we amended.
I'm sorry about that. I didn't make that note. Welcome, Ms. Copeland, under item 12. Didn't notice that one.
You're going to let them go first.
Little flying.
Yeah.
For the record, I'm Kathy Copeland, Legislative Affairs and Communications Manager. Thank you. Well, today kicks off legislative session, and as promised, I am here to give you a status on the bill that we expected to drop related to the Fellsmere Water Control District. Actually, 2 bills dropped on Saturday, and I just want to give you a status of where we are and kind of how it looks like it's going to proceed, just because a local bill is different from a regular bill in that it moves fairly quickly, and the legislative delegation is primarily in control of its path. So both members of our delegation, Senator Grahl and Representative Brackett, have had numerous conversations and meetings with different entities, including the county. And all people are working very well together, I will say. There's a lot of good faith effort. There's a lot of good faith activity that has been going back and forth, and I'm encouraged by that. So I right now just want to let you know, you can flip to, well, I guess I'm supposed to be doing that, sorry. So primarily, we're dealing with the Fellsmere Water Control District because they are the ones that have basically asked, I think, for this based on an outcry from the residents. It's my understanding that this is not a knee-jerk reaction. These are conversations that have been going on for years. The residents that I have talked to have expressed that they really would desire more transparency in how the water control system is operated. And specifically, they are concerned about the maintenance of the canals, which in talking with our county staff, we have those concerns as well. So these are the players that we're dealing with at the Fellsmere Water Control District. And as you can see, most of these special districts are very old. They were established to allow for farmlands to be habitable and to be made so that they could actually farm the land, because most of us, as we know, Florida was a swamp prior to us turning it into commerce and us being able to live here. So what we're dealing with now is the difference between a dependent district and an independent district. Right now, the Fellsmere Water Control District is an independent district, a 298 district established by Florida Statute 298. What is proposed is for the Water Control District to become a dependent district under the governance of the Indian River County Board of County Commissioners. As such, the Board of County Commissioners, if this bill passes, would appoint themselves as the board for the Water Control District and be responsible for the maintenance of the canals for water conveyance and flood control. The funding for this activity is an assessment to the property owners. And in this transaction, if this happens, all the things that would be included are the property, a building, and everything in the building, a piece of equipment, and their reserve, money in the bank. So just so for the public, so you can understand the difference, a dependent district, again, is governed by a legislative or a county or city government. An independent district is an elected board. They have a much greater autonomy, which has been part of the problem in that the people feel like there's more accountability if they are governed by a county. We have also had many conversations with the city of Fellsmere. In the beginning, Mr. Dill, their attorney, was opposed to this. He had a lot of concerns. We've been working through those. They have been working through those. And in our conversations, I have been checking in just to make sure that they're comfortable. And my latest conversation with Armando this morning, the city manager, was that they are not opposed to the split. They just want to make sure that the annexation is acknowledged in the legislation and that it is understood that any land use or development issues would be subject to their comprehensive plan, which everybody has agreed that that is the case. And so I think now they're moving to a place where they're more comfortable. I'm going to redo that bill, that slide for you, because I want to give, and we can post it on the website, because I want it to reflect exactly as it is posted, because people are very attached to words, and I don't want anybody to get confused. So I will redo that slide and make sure it's on our website. But in essence, the Headwaters Water Control District will become a public corporation. It will provide the district's charter. It will establish its boundaries. It will provide for maintenance and use of certain canals. And that is obviously part of the back and forth. How do we describe that? The dependent district, which is House Bill 4093, will provide for the district as a dependent district under the Indian River County Board of County Commissioners and governed by the commission, and it will provide for maintenance and use of certain canals. The county commission will then have the opportunity to establish its own charter, which could include how you receive impact or input from the citizens. They would like a formal board. In conversations with them, we've talked about all different kinds of citizen boards, and that's something that they will definitely want to discuss with you if this does go through. Just for the record, I have advised them that the county commission is definitely open to public engagement and citizen advisory committees, but to anticipate that they would they will not be part of the board that governs the district. They will be an advisory. They will have input into how, just like you do with the SWID and just like you do with emergency services. So the other thing that has been discussed and the other caution that I have given the citizens is that you have to be careful what you put in legislation, because if you do ever want to go change a provision, it opens up the entire bill. So everything that you got that was good is also back on the table. So that's the reason why there's a lot of deliberation right now. Both Senator Graw and Representative Brackett in a delegation meeting did state clearly that they wanted the Board of County Commissioners to be comfortable with the legislation. The bill as it exists right now is not what is anticipated to be final law, and all entities understand that, and that's why there's so much conversation. The goal is to have the refinements to all the legislation done in the First Amendment that will go before the committee, the first committee stop. Normally, a local bill will probably go to about 3 committees. We anticipate that this will come up in a couple of weeks. And then hopefully we can all agree to a language in the amendment that we're comfortable with if indeed this looks like it's going to go through. The House is in charge of a local bill, so Representative Brackett is in full control. Once he puts it out there, which it is out there now, he can pull it at any time if it does not feel like it's where it needs to be. Typically, the House bills, once they get approved by the House side, they go over as a package to the Senate. And at that point in time, Senator Graw will look at it, and if she is not comfortable that all parties are represented, she has the authority to pull it. So there's a lot of checks and balances along the way. And I just wanted to make sure that you all understood the difference between the local bill and a regular bill and kind of the path that this was on, and where you can interject and state whatever, whether you're comfortable, whether you have questions, markers that you want to put down. I just wanted to be fully transparent because at the beginning of the session, or when we started committee weeks and I brought the priorities forward, I promised you that I would keep you informed about this. And now that it has been dropped and it's in play, I want you to have the opportunity to discuss it if you want to.
Thank you very much for that. I trust fellow commissioners that Ms. Copeland and Mr. Tatanich have shared what we just heard independently with you. I know I had about a 25, 30-minute conversation with exactly what she said, so I feel confident that we, in fact, are informed. Any questions?
Mr. Chairman, yes, I believe Commissioner Adams, as she was on the city council in Fellsmere, we may recall some fervent discussions, concerns, and shortcomings of production or sustainability to the community. It's been a long journey. I think I'm quite refreshed with the actions, the thought process, the legislative update. I did have that conversation as you had, Mr. Chairman, and I just like, there was some concerns and housekeeping items, such as the assumability of the lease on the piece of equipment, which is vital to the whole operation.
Correct.
Has that been explored? I understand Mr. Uli has looked deeper into this.
Yes,
and-
sir. There's actually 3 items that we were concerned about, and let me also explain that if the bill passes, let's say in March, it would not go into effect until October. So that gap raised a lot of flags for us as staff. What happens during that time? And what happens between now and then, because they are on a different cycle. They will decide on their assessment sometime in May. We will not, if this bill passed, takes over till October. And so we need to understand what money are they spending, what are they obligating, because all of that would come to the county. So the items that we were looking at were the equipment lease, which it is our understanding that we can opt out of that lease if we need to. Danny, and he can speak for himself, but he has expressed that we would want to continue that for now. The other one is a contract that they had bid out in November, and they are going to actually schedule to vote on it tonight. We asked them to hold off on that to give Danny an opportunity to review that contract because we were concerned that whatever, they said they were taking care of hot spots. We wanted to make sure that those hot spots were, that we agreed with the same. And so Danny took it home last night and basically scrubbed the contract, and you can tell them for yourself, but he said he was pleasantly surprised.
Good morning, Danny Uli, Assistant Public Works Director. And yes, I did, after our meetings yesterday, I did take the contract home last night. I came in early this morning and went over it some more, made some highlights, and I was very impressed in what they put in that contract versus what we have seen from them in the past. What is in that contract, all the verbiage would lead to what, if this passes, we will have a head start come October because everything we need and what we want and what the residents need is in that contract. So if we move forward with the contract, the work will begin in Fellsmere, in that water control district that we're talking about right now. So come October 1st, if we take over, we have a giant foot forward in getting things taken care of. A couple of items that did catch my eye that I mentioned to Kathy this morning as well is they've actually put in that contract for emergency on-call, such as in rainy season when the county is getting these phone calls at 1 or 2 in the morning. This contractor, until October, if the bill passes, will be maintaining that. They are on standby at night, weekends, holidays, any of those times that we have been covering in the past. And I took that as a good thing for the residents and for us at the same time. So that gives us some breathing room to get this on the right track.
Thank you.
What you're saying is that we're in the receivership of a reasonably sound product. Yes, albeit it does need some work.
Yes, sir.
But it's the transference, it will be a clean obligation as opposed to, look what we got into.
Exactly, yes, sir.
It'll be a step in the right direction for sure. And I think the good faith effort in talking with the Fellsmere Water Control District and Mr. Nelson, he wanted to make sure that he said that he had heard loud and clear from Representative Brackett, he had heard loud and clear from the residents, and he understood all of our concerns, City of Fellsmere, the county, that there were certain spots in the canal that really needed attention, and he wanted to, that contract, he did not want to pull the contract because he wanted it clear that he intended to follow through with it. He was only willing to pull it if we were not comfortable. So as of right now, I told him I would text him after we had this meeting because now I'm getting from Danny that he thinks it's a good idea for them to go ahead and award the contract. There is another contract with SDS, which is Special District Services, and that is for the actual operation of the district. And there's Mark Mathis is the general manager, but then they have a contract with SDS. Their original contract included management of the canal and all. We asked them to take that out, and so now we have under review a contract that is just for the actual operations of the district. And I believe it's like $40,000 or something like that, but it looks like we would probably want that to continue too, especially over the period of time until a transition can happen if the bill passes, because for auditing purposes and budgeting purposes, and they keep the records, they manage the website, they do it all.
I just,
Encouraged that Mr. Greg Nelson is very supportive and embracing of this as well.
Mr. Administrator.
I just want to also add that we did review their financial report, their audit that was as of September 30th, 2024, and looked at they do have a positive fund balance. I think it's about $300,000. And then we did review the budget that's active for this fiscal year. And in terms of debt, the only debt they have is the capital lease payment for the 2023 excavator. And that's what Danny's going to look at and make a decision whether we continue that or we look to purchase one, because at some point it might be cheaper to just purchase one than.
Yeah, we talked about the arrangement with the capital equipment as well, so. It's good news. It's good news for Fellsmere, and it's good news for our staff. In other words, we won't be scrambling, hopefully, as much to assist other parties.
Mr. Chair, just real quick, I want to very much thank Representative Brackett and Senator Grahl for bringing this forward and working that bill. And I'd also like to thank my fellow commissioners for letting us participate in those conversations. But I really want to express our thanks to the East Fellsmere Landowners Group, or EFLOG for short, for all their work on this over many, many, many years. They have really been engaged as an advocacy group, and I think that's helped us get through this process. So I want to thank them for their engagement.
And if I can just give kudos to that group too, because I have just really started engaging with them because I really wanted to understand what their concerns were, because they're so close to it, to make sure that in reading the legislation that we weren't missing something. And there were several of them that went through line by line and have provided a list line by line of where they're concerned, what the concern is. We have looked at it on a map, so it's very helpful. And I think it took a lot of time for them to do that, and they're very passionate about what this outcome is going to look like. And so it's helpful to all of us who are looking at it to make sure that the county gets a sound product out of this legislation, but also to make sure that the concerns that have been expressed for so many years are taken care of in legislation.
Thank you, Ms. Copeland, and for the presentation, Mr. Ulu. We trust that you will continue to update us as the session, which has now been started for an hour and a half, kicks off, and we wait patiently for any clarification or help that you may need.
Okay,
Thank you.
and we do have 1,750 bills so far, and 250 were dropped on Friday, so it's a crazy session already.
Right. Exciting times. Thank you.
Not this one.
Commissioners, that brings us up now to 13B, Community Service, which we've all been waiting patiently for. 13B1, the Children's Services 2024-2025 Annual Report. And it appears that we have Ms. Emerson and Ms. Kendrick presenting. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. For the record, Cindy Emerson, Community Services Director. Today, we are so pleased to present to you a brief overview of our annual report, along with an update of the Children's Services Needs Assessment. This work really reflects in both the outcomes of the programs funded by the Board of County Commissioners and the data that guides how we strategically invest our resources in the most critical needs of children and families in Indian River County. Today, I'm really pleased to present. We have Megan Kendrick, our Human Services Administrator, Robert Catapano, our Human Services Coordinator, and our new part-time position with Ashley Baker, our new Data Analyst. And I'm going to turn it over to Megan Kendrick.
Are we in morning or afternoon? Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for having us here today. Like Ms. Emerson said, today we're going to be presenting our 24-25 annual report as well as our 2026 needs assessment update. Before I begin, I'd like to say thank you to all of you sitting up there today. Without your support and guidance, the impact you're about to see would not be possible. I also want to quickly thank the nonprofits that serve our children and families for their continued commitment to attending professional development and improving their craft and strengthening their programs. I would like to thank my amazing team. I could not do this work without them. Their dedication and passion to serving children and families can be seen across our community. I'd also like to thank Ms. Emerson for her strong guidance and her passion and her leadership. And with that, it is important for me to note that this year's theme is Every Child Deserves a Hero. We made a video with the team, and we just hope you enjoy not only the video, but what it shows and the impact that your work has made.
Hi. I may not know all the big words or numbers, but I know this. Because of you, I have help when I need it. Because of you, my family is stronger. Because of you, I have a chance to succeed. Thank you, Board of County Commissioners, for continuing to support children's services and the programs that support kids like me. Every child deserves a hero. And because of you, we have one.
Can you bring it back to the
This
beginning
is
real
our
quick?
story.
We did check it yesterday, and
this is
it
our
played
impact.
great, so we did a tech check.
CSAC-funded
There we go.
programs are doing more than delivering services. They are strengthening outcomes year over year. Over the past 2 years, program performance has significantly improved, with the percentage of outcomes met increasing from 61% to 93%.
That investment is making a difference across all 3 funding priorities: health and well-being, nurturing families and communities, and success in school and life. This year, CSAC-funded programs delivered more than 21,000 touchpoints with children, youth, and families across Indian River County. Each touchpoint represents a meaningful interaction, support, education, or prevention that helps turn funding into measurable outcomes.
More than 9,000 children were reached through early childhood development programs. Over 1,700 students participated in programs strengthening math and reading skills. More than 5,000 youth were supported through programs reducing at-risk behaviors. And over 1,500 parents and caregivers increased their understanding of children's social and emotional needs through research-based trainings.
The outcomes truly tell the story.
Because of CSAC-funded early learning programs, 83% of participating children scored at or above the state benchmark on the VPK assessment.
85% of students in small group reading support and 95% of students in small group math tutoring showed measurable learning gains.
93% of youth engaged in prevention programming showed significant improvement in making safe and healthy choices. And 100% of fathers participating in children's services funded programs increased their knowledge of how to support their children's emotional well-being and positive behavior.
In addition to funding programs, CSAC staff partners with community experts to build capacity across funded agencies, strengthening program outcomes, creating greater impact, building stronger boards, and helping agencies diversify funding. Every funded agency participated in professional development this year, and 93% report they are already implementing what they learned to strengthen their programs.
Accountability remains at the core of our work. CSAC completed 100% of required site visits, conducting over 132 walkthrough evaluations to ensure programs align with their grant applications, and 100% of quarterly reports were submitted and reviewed, ensuring transparency, performance tracking, and responsible stewardship of public funds.
These highlights represent only a portion of the impact achieved through children's services funding. For full transparency, the complete annual report with detailed outcomes and program results is available on the Children's Services website. Because when community support turns investment into action, outcomes improve, families are strengthened, and children thrive.
And when we come together, every child has a hero. Hi. I may not know all the big words or numbers, but I know this. Because of you, I have help when I need it. Because of you, my family is stronger.
As we're turning it off,
Because of you, I have a chance to succeed. Thank you.
Are there any questions about the annual report?
Fellow Commissioners, any questions?
No, it was awesome.
We did it.
Yeah.
Good job.
I just want to thank Ashley for her commitment to that video. We are learning, we are getting better, but she was steadfast in making sure that got done, and it had all the graphics, and I can't thank her enough. All right, now moving on, we're going to just do a very quick update on the needs assessment. If there's any questions afterwards, I'm happy to answer it for you. We have a needs assessment subcommittee that is comprised of local experts across health, education, and family systems. We do a comprehensive 5-year needs assessment with annual updates using hundreds of local, state, and data points, community feedback, and local subject matter expertise. And we're up now. This needs assessment identifies the most pressing needs of children and families in Indian River County. This needs assessment is a living, data-driven framework which establishes funding priorities and focus areas. It's updated annually, like I said, to identify any shifts, trends, and emerging needs. This year, we really focused on parent and caregiver feedback. With over 400 feedback responses from local parents and caregivers, we were able to identify themes that these families wanted. We had 426, which actually makes this statistically relevant as well, just to note. And the needs assessment directly drives the CSAC request for proposal. The needs assessment has identified 3 funding priorities: health and well-being, nurturing families and community, and success in school and life. The key themes we heard from parents and caregivers across Indian River County were, number 1, they wanted easier access to mental health with fewer revolving doors. They're looking for more affordable, quality early learning. They would like more mentoring and structured support for teens, a focus on real-world skill building with things like financial literacy, trades, and soft skills, and they'd like us to continue to support tutoring, after-school, and summer academic support. Although we have made a lot of progress, like you saw in the annual report, sorry, it's skipping one of the slides, there we go. There is still work to be done. In health and well-being, we've seen gains in prenatal care and declining substance use, but we are also seeing rising teen birth, mental health concerns, a surge in childhood obesity, and a growing special needs enrollment across our county. This highlights the need for continued early intervention and coordinated support in the area of health and well-being. And nurturing family and community, the data shows progress in reducing childhood adversity and serious juvenile offenses, but rising mental health crisis, student homelessness, and juvenile misdemeanors are still something we're seeing an increase in, which shows the need to strengthen prevention and early intervention. And finally, in our last one, success in school and life, we have seen a lot of success and a lot to celebrate around strong academic performance and high graduation rates. However, we are looking at a decline in kindergarten readiness, persistent chronic absenteeism is an issue, parent demand for real-world skill building that signals the help for early education supports and expanded pathways to college and career readiness. From needs to actions, this framework directly informs funding decisions, priorities, and strategies to improve outcomes. And if you want to see the programs that are chosen based off this needs assessment, we do have a GIS map. This will represent all programs that are funded through the BOCC on our Children's Service website. If you would like to see the complete needs assessment and all the updates, you can access it through this QR code, or you can visit our website, Children's Services, on the county main website. With that, thank you again, and if there's any questions, we're happy to answer them.
Great, well, thank you, Commissioners. We do need direction to accept the previous matter, which was the annual report.
Move approval?
We have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussions about the annual report? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. And the motion carries. Commissioners, we also just heard the needs assessment report. I think some of the key trends that Ms. Kendrick mentioned certainly are concerning, that allows us to probably agree that we have a lot of work ahead of us. And you know, some of those trends can be, I guess, universally accepted throughout the nation. Don't know, but certainly work to do for us. I don't believe we need any action on that, but thank you for the presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Commissioner Adams, thank you for your leadership and being the liaison to CSAC. We'll see you at 3 o'clock today.
3 o'clock.
I'll wear my cape, my hero cape.
Commissioners, before we get into the group health insurance, would you like a 5-minute break, or would you like to carry on?
Whatever your pleasure, Mr. Chair.
At this time, we will take a quick recess, and we will reconvene at 11:26. Welcome back. The time now is 11:27 for the 13th of January, 2026. We now, fellow commissioners, go to item 13D under Human Resources, and this is Group Health Insurance Update, January 2026, and I see our Human Resource Director, Suzanne Boyle. Welcome and good morning.
Thank you, Commissioners. Suzanne Boyle, Director of Human Resources, and I have Rachel Friedman with Lockton and Tressa Crescen with Lockton, who was here back in June when I last spoke with you about our health plan. At that time, the board, we had a lot of discussion about how the health plan was doing. It was interesting, I was reviewing my notes from that agenda item, and back in June, we had a discussion about the GLP-1 medications and just how the plan was performing. And at that time, we projected a $3.24 million shortfall between funding and what our projected experience was going to be under the plan. I do want to note that our insurance trust fund is very well funded. It was very well funded at that time, and it still remains very well funded. So what we agreed to do was to renew the plan with no benefit changes. We left everything the same. The premiums were the same. All the benefits would be the same, and we would monitor it and report back to you, and that's what we're doing here today. Lockton provided me with the year-end financials for the plan. That was a part of the agenda item that was placed in and provided to you for review. Under those financials, we actually ended the plan year with, instead of a $3.24 million deficit, a $2.5 million deficit. So we did better than we actually projected, which is good news. But we do have some increased expenses that happened in the prior plan year. We discovered that our medical claims increased by 19.2% over the prior plan year, and then our pharmacy claims increased by 32.2%. The total medical claims were $17.4 million, and the total pharmacy claims, less our rebates, were $7.4 million. In that plan year, out of those medical claims, there were 75 high-cost claimants. A high-cost claimant is someone who has over $50,000 in medical bills over the plan year. And those medical bills for those 75 high-cost claimants were $8.6 million. So to kind of let you know, the former year that ended in September of 2024, we had a total, instead of the 17.4 million in claims, we had 14 million. So we went up from 14 million to 17.4 in that 1 year period. And we went from 62 high-cost claimants at 6.6 million to ending this past year with 75 high-cost claimants at 8.6 million. So you see our medical experience increased by $2 million in that regard. And then when we look at our pharmacy, I told you that we ended the year with claims of $7.4 million. Well, I had a $2 million increase there too. The prior plan year, we were at $5.4 million. So we increased $2 million on our medical, $2 million on our prescriptions. And out of that that increase on our prescriptions, there was a $2.3 million of our claims, of those $7.4 million in claims, was attributed to the GLP-1 weight loss medications that we allow under our plan. Now, what's interesting to note is those GLP-1 utilizations, I think we may have done a little bit better because there are people that go on the medications and they don't stay on it. It doesn't work for them, so they come off of it. So our numbers, I think, went down a little bit when we ended the year. So we kind of ended the year with a few less participants on the medication. The other thing that was interesting to note is going into this plan year, we required every person who was on the GLP-1 medication with our new pharmacy benefit manager, Rightway, to go through a prior authorization process. So they had to reapply and go through a process to make sure that they met the program criteria to be on the GLP-1 for weight loss medications. So I just wanted you to know that every person who was being prescribed the GLP-1 medication received notification and told that by December 30th, they needed to basically go through that process again. So I'm going to pause for a moment there and just ask if you have any questions about those numbers or what I've reviewed with you.
Thank you, Suzanne. So on 12/31 of '25, those affected members have been notified. So I think your backup says we'll discuss this again in March of '26. So by then, you should have some pretty solid numbers, and one would anticipate a reduction, in fact, in the prescriptions.
We're hoping that the costs will have been moderated a little bit. It does seem to be that we may not have as many individuals on it at this time, but that was our last discussion before the holidays.
Yeah, so just to add there, there was a decrease in utilizers for that October data. It's slowly ticking up for November and December, but again, the key is going to be that first quarter of 2026 when those prior authorization really takes effect. So that will be more telling than what we've seen this year to date.
So in March, my plan is to bring back data that would be through the December 31st date to see where we're at, what does it look like. And then we also had some better pricing through Rightway on our GLP-1. That was one of the reasons why we went with Rightway, is they had a better pricing for us than the prior PBM when we were looking at all of our medication costs.
Are the diabetics that are on GLP, are they separated from the weight loss?
They are, yes.
You got diabetes and you got weight loss.
Yes.
Got to have the authorization for that.
But is it all in that figure, in that number, or no?
So the total, when we ended the plan year with the $2.5 million deficit, that considered everything. Considered our medical, considered all of our pharmacy expenses, but the cost attributed to the weight loss medications, and it's $2.3 million was the cost, but that was before rebates, correct?
Correct, that was before rebates. And then if you look at just the GLP-1s for diabetics, that's going to be another 1.3 million. So that is two separate figures.
And what's interesting is some of the individuals who may be on the medication for weight loss, we talked about they could transition to for diabetes, because that is sometimes also a diagnosis that they have, yes. Yes.
And subsequently, just since the December meeting, a few new medications have come out that
Yes.
could be substituted and are far less costly to the institution. Is that correct information?
So there is new medication that's coming out. Lockton's very familiar with those marketplace changes, but there's a lot happening and a lot of change. Tressa, did you want to speak about that?
Yeah, I was going to say, you're correct that there was only one new medication in the weight loss space recently, and that was a pill, a tablet version of Wegovy for weight loss, GLP-1. And unfortunately, their direct-to-consumer pricing for members when they start out is about $149 over the counter, or their direct-to-consumer option. But when you're looking at it on the pharmacy plan, the cost for the average wholesale price, which is what the pharmacy benefit managers use, is the same price as the injectable. We were hoping when it came to market, it would be a little cheaper, given that the injectable has a really intricate way of administering. The pill, you just take it, but it is the same price currently.
And one other question, although this is a local concern, have you seen a national concern for it as well, that it's a driving mechanism to look at alternatives?
Correct. Just overall, the price, the cost is something, you know, we know that there are tons of people out there that meet the criteria to take the medications, but the cost has always been a concern, a cost for employer groups to cover on the plan and cost to patients. We've seen a lot since our June meeting, it was, of the direct-to-consumer market take place. So you have the makers of Wegovy, the makers of Zepbound, which are the two most popular GLP-1s for weight loss, have come up with these direct-to-consumer programs. So essentially, you could go to Costco or through the manufacturer's website and get the medication for as low as $199 for the starting dose. And it goes up, just depending on the dosage, to $299, $349, up all the way to about $450. So that is something good that has come out, because a member, if it's not covered on your insurance plan, you could essentially go to the manufacturer and get it for a lower price than what the employer group could even buy it on the insurance plan for.
So it appears that there are options should we find the numbers to be awakening.
Correct. And there's also mechanisms by which we're seeing employer groups being able to fund the direct-to-consumer pricing via way of an HRA card, so that you're not completely removing the coverage in the sense that it's now 100% on the employees. You could at least subsidize a portion of that if that were a direction you went in.
That's more encouraging than we were initially advised.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're really hopeful that there have been a lot of positive changes with the pricing, with the direct-to-consumer, and we've had a lot of discussions. It's a very new market for these facilitated direct-to-consumer benefits that employers are trying to see if there's another offering, because many employers have come to the conclusion that it needs to be off of the health plan so that the cost is a lower cost in the direct-to-consumer model, and that it doesn't impact the health plan premiums. So we've seen that happen a lot. So Lockton's been really staying on top of it, and I'm hopeful that we'll have some really good options available if that is the decision that the board has to go in, you know, based on funding and financials and just where we're at. The other thing I did want to take a moment to discuss with you is our health center. And I do not have a direct correlation of how many members in the health center might be also taking the GLP-1s for weight loss medication. But what I do have is biometric tracking of our members in that health center. And there's some really encouraging information that's coming out on our health center metrics that are coming back. So out of 1,005 patients, there were improvements in 601 of those individuals in their various areas. And I can only extrapolate that there is a portion of our membership that is going to the health center that is also taking GLP-1 medications. So this means their body mass is being reduced, their diastolic blood pressure and systolic blood pressures are improving, their A1C is improving, their HDL and LDL and the ratio of that cholesterol is improving, and triglycerides. So there is marked improvement that people who are achieving weight loss goals with the help of the GLP-1 medication are experiencing. And I just think that needs to be understood, that the medication is providing a benefit to many of our members who are on it. Now, some members, there's side effects, and it impacts them negatively, and they decide they don't want to go that route. But I did just want the board to be aware that through our health center, the population is improving in these areas biometrics, and that's a real positive and just a testament to the work that the staff at the health center is doing to help support health and wellness with Indian River County. And also, I'd like to thank the board for their support of that health center. I think that was a really, really great benefit to provide to our members, so thank you.
Thank you, and that health center has become very popular, so we do appreciate that. And we know when we approved that some years ago that our return on investment probably is still 6 to 7 years away, but we look forward to that, and thank you, Suzanne.
Yes.
Any
So-
further comments?
Oh, just,
ahead.
I'll come back in March and
Yes,
give
you
you
will.
another update.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Commissioners, that brings us on to Public Works. And this 13J1, the adoption of Indian River County Public Works Department standard details and policies.
Good morning, everyone. David Scriber, Acting Public Works Director, and with me is Wendy Smith. Wendy's our right-of-way permitting administrator, and Wendy's has really taken the lead in the development of these standards and policies that we're asking you to adopt with this proposed resolution. So we're here to answer any questions you may have with that, if you have any.
Well, we thank you and welcome. I do think it's a fresh look at this so-called dilemma. And Dave and Wendy, I want to thank you for a fresh breath of common sense when it comes to this. And I think everyone here will be equally benefited by a reduction in calls and concerns that we get along this journey. And we've all gotten those, and like I said, it's a dose of common sense, and we thank you.
Thank you. I really would like you to thank Wendy, because Wendy's been the spearhead of this whole thing. She's done a wonderful job. She ran the work group. She ran this thing all the way to the point where we are now, and she's done a spectacular job.
Thank you very much. Any questions, Commissioners?
No.
I know Commissioner Erman, you had.
Mr. Chairman, if y'all want to speak on this, but I think I understand it. These are standard things that y'all get asked a lot, and it takes the guesswork or somebody's self-interpretation out of this to make sure that everybody knows. Basically, you can say, here, this is what we do. If you want any changes to make it bigger or better or something like that, then you come back with those plans. And yeah, I think this is been way overdue, and I'm glad y'all do it. And Wendy, thanks for all the work you've done on it.
Yes.
And David and Danny, y'all done just a yeoman's job down there in Public Works, like the chairman said. You know, I know my phone calls have gone way down. There's always going to be something, but I mean, it's Public Works. It's a moving item every day, literally and figuratively. But y'all done a great job, and I really appreciate everything that y'all done in the last 4 or 5 months. It's just been absolutely a breath of fresh air.
Well, thank you very much. And speaking for Danny, I'll try to speak for Danny and myself. We thank you for that recognition and that you see that Public Works is doing better and doing, moving right along.
Well, thank you. And it took guesswork out, and we're able to have a defined process, so to speak. Mr. Administrator.
Yeah, I also want to thank staff, Wendy, everybody that contributed to this project. I think the predictability, clarifications, establishing expectations, and providing these details and the standards will aid in the process of getting better submittals and also more timely review completed. So I know it wasn't an easy lift. I mean, there's 10 policies, 10 standards, and it's like, well, what do you want from me? Well, here it is. Oh, wow, this is great. And utilities did this not, but I think about a year and a half ago, and it's helped. So now with Public Works doing the same, I just can't thank you enough, because it's certainly going to impact our customers, and we appreciate that very much. Appreciate all your work and effort, Wendy, as well as, Dave and Danny. and everybody else that helped.
Thank you, Wendy. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. Without any further discussion on that, we will advance. Thank you very much, and we'll see you at the next round, I'm sure.
Thank you.
Next is the county the county attorney matters, the Value Adjustment Board.
Did you vote on that? I did.
Oh, yes, you do. See,
It's a resolution.
yeah, it's,
So did we have to vote on that?
please, because previously the board, the desire was that the department had adopted these, and now it's, we just fundamentally believe that the board needs to adopt these policies.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Moss, a second by Commissioner Fletcher. Fletcher, any further comment? I think she beat him, actually.
Yeah.
Hearing none, all in favor? Aye, and the motion carries. Thank you for that. The next matter will be addressed by the county attorney's office.
That's right. You have two commissioners that sit on the Value Adjustment Board, Commissioners Fletcher and Ehrman, and the board is required to elect a chair and vice chair.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Erman.
I want to tell you that the Value Adjustment Board is one of the most efficient financially and responsibility in what they do that the county has. And we give all that thanks. I wish we could give it to Commissioner Fleischer and myself, but Terry Collins Lister does an outstanding job with that program. But we did have more meetings last year because of the state required us to have an additional meeting. So we had 3, maybe 4 meetings. So we were overworked and underpaid as usual, but it all went well. With that being said, though, in all seriously, that's a very important board, probably one of the most important boards in the county. But luckily, and just to show how well it's operating, all our requests for hearings were down this year, and everything got settled. It was a pretty easy year. But I did my time as chairman this last year, and it's now I'd like to nominate Commissioner Fleischer for chairman for the upcoming year.
We have a motion by Commissioner Erman and a second by Commissioner Adams.
See how the year goes if I say thank you.
We do want to do this?
Any further discussion? All in favor of Commissioner Erman being the chair of the Value, or Commissioner Fleischer being the chair of the Value Adjustment, state by aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. Congratulations, Commissioner Fleischer.
Like I said, we'll wait till the end of the year to see if the thanks are in order.
Right.
But I want to thank Commissioner Ehrman being the chair this past year. It appears that we have had the opportunity to work together at the Value Adjustment Board for several years, and with this new assignment where it has to be done at the board, we have carried on the tradition of alternating positions, but it's a pleasure and an honor at this point.
Is that a nomination?
At this point, we have the opportunity to nominate as vice chair Commissioner Joe Ehrman, and that is my motion.
We have a motion by Commissioner Fleischer, a second by Commissioner Adams. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Commissioner Erman, congratulations on being Vice President of the Value Adjustment Board. I know that you and Chairman Fleischer will do a wonderful job.
Let her read.
Right. With that, Commissioners, it will bring us to public comments on any non-agenda items. Public comment for any non-agenda items. I would ask that in being consistent with the practices of most recently, that you state your name, your address, and you limit your questions and concerns to 3 minutes. Additionally, this body does not get involved in dialogue with any of your questions or concerns. Welcome and thank you.
Judy Greenberg. I'm with the Roseland Women's Club in Roseland. And I have with me, and you have a flyer, and I have with me, I wanted to introduce one of our newer members, Diana Spalding. Diana. And she's, again, one of our newer members, but she has stepped right up and taking some leadership. And today we're here to invite you to our 3rd annual Roseland celebration. And you have the flyer. It's the Giving Hearts Market. And Diana is actually chairing the bake sale. So we're bringing back our traditional wonderful bake sale. I know I'm doing my grandma's sour cream pound cake. So, I see. So you can either get a slice or a whole cake if you would like. That's going to be February 7th. And as part of that, we went down this trail of doing a wildflower demonstration garden, similar to what you have out in the front of the building here, much smaller scale, but we did get a grant for that. So you see on the back side, we've actually worked through this whole project with the help of the Parks and Recs Department, and we really appreciate, they built a beautiful stone wall that contains this garden. It was just, we have pictures on Facebook. It's just amazing. And we are going to dedicate that at 10 o'clock. And any of you that can come out and participate with that dedication and enjoy some good food truck food, some bake sale.
Well, thank you.
And so that's what we're here for, and we appreciate your continued support with using that building, and we continue looking and exploring different ways to use the building for community benefit. Any questions? Because we welcome questions if you want to have one.
Thank you. We don't engage in that, but we do appreciate it. We will see you there. I was the proud recipient of a raffle award last year there. I have not redeemed my facial scrub as of yet.
Oh.
But we do thank you for that. I was thinking about that.
You brought that up.
It had to bring that up, huh?
But thank you. We'll see you.
And again, I will mention that the fundraising this year is for an issue that has been identified as a need in the community of homeless teens. And so we're exploring that, and we started exploring that whole issue back in September and through the fall. So we appreciate your support there. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Uh-huh.
Any further public comment? Welcome, name and address for the record.
Yes, hello, Lisa Sinersky. I'm a South County resident, 5th generation native of Indian River County. And I would just like to voice some opinions on 2 things I heard today. One, just I do hope our health center is still encouraging the tried and true method of lifestyle and exercise. But anyhow, on that note, also another topic that was here that I wasn't able to voice my opinion on is just the rezoning of all of our agricultural land. I understand what was being discussed today is maybe along the lines of what else is happening in that area, but you know, when is it going to be halted? When are we going to put a stop to all of our agricultural land going away in this county and in this state? But ultimately, what I'm here to do is follow up on my recent comments from the past months on opposing data centers, not only in Indian River County, but in the state of Florida and all across the country. They're fighting this. I am reaching out again to just update you that there has been from our governor, HB 1007 has been proposed, legislation has been proposed to restrict data centers, citing requiring buffers, water usage reviews, and prohibiting subsidies aiming to protect resources and consumers from rising energy costs and ultimately depleting our water resources, so on and so forth. So I'm ultimately just asking for support of that bill as that comes hopefully forward. And again, my comments on this subject are not random. It is happening around our country and our state, and it's important that we are not just watching as these things unfold. Again, just for the rest of our citizens here, our neighbor in St. Lucie County denied one of these data centers, a very large data center, and Palm Beach County is also, they've halted a 200-acre site, and they will be reviewing that again in April because of their constituents voicing their concerns. So thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Any further comments from the public? Good. Actually, it's afternoon. Name and record.
Hi, my name is Mary
Name and address
Martinez.
for the record.
Pardon?
I didn't catch your name.
Mary Martinez.
Hi, Mary.
Hi, I'm new to Vero Beach and to Florida. My late father wanted me to move here desperately. Our ancestor is Governor Pedro Menendez. They founded St. Augustine, Florida. So he wanted me safe in Florida. And this is the first step to me taking back my power, speaking out. I've been traumatized in the past, and I came here for rest and to heal. And part of what I did in the last state was I contacted J.D. Vance before he became vice president and reported a lot of crimes to him and asked to speak to Congress. That's in the works down the road. But right now, because of the assault on me, I have a traumatic brain injury, and I have aphasia and apraxia. I came here because my friend is in Palm Bay, and we came out to Vero, and I fell in love with Vero. And I'm sorry to hear about all the development. I understand that it has to happen, but I love the animals and the undeveloped land. It's just beautiful. But I hired somebody to fix up the mobile home before I moved in when I bought it in August. And he was referred to me by the park manager. He is from Colombia. I asked if he was illegal, and I never got an answer. But what ended up happening was it was basically a confidence scam, and he ended up threatening me to give him money, even though the contract shows that I don't have to give him the money. My friends in Palm Bay, her and her husband stood up and said, "You can blame it on us because of my the injuries from the assault in the past." He showed up the first night I stayed here in September. I waited like a month for him to finish remodeling the mobile home, and he didn't. He left me without a kitchen sink, and I came back from the other state, and I walked into the mobile home, and I was just in tears. He showed up the next morning. I went to the beach, first of all, that night and just cried my eyes out. The next morning, he showed up with another man from Colombia, threatening that if I didn't give them the money, they were going to take my home away. All kinds of things. I gave him money just to get him out of the house.
Ms. Martinez, we certainly understand that, and we appreciate you bringing that us. This perhaps may not be the venue for that.
Okay.
This is, any of the five of us, or for that matter, seven of us, would be happy to chat with you about a specific item.
I would love that.
Generally speaking, we like to stay focused on the county matters versus individual matters. So
Okay.
for that, I say thank you.
Okay, what about services that I applied for?
We can certainly assist you with that.
In private?
Yes, ma'am. we will.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank
and
you. You have a good afternoon. Any further comments from the public? Hearing none, and thank you and Happy New Year, everyone. This meeting is adjourned.